Chapter 1983. Xinghe controlled the Heavenly Emperor's body and threw a punch at Lu Ming. Slash. Lu Ming whispered and slashed out with the Heavenly Emperor's sword. There was another terrifying roar. The Heavenly Emperor's sword and the Heavenly Emperor's body were both pushed back. What they didn't know was that there was a shocking change in the world of the lotus. The moment the Heavenly Emperor's body stood up, there seemed to be an invisible force rippling out and spreading to the other 8 worlds. Roar. Roar. At this moment, some of the most ancient ruins in the 8 worlds let out a shocking roar. For example, the Time God Island in the 10,000 Seas realm roared and the power of time swept across the sky. At the bottom of the cave in the 10,000 Beasts realm, the roar was even more shocking. Some people were still taking the risk and were directly injured by the roar and died. It was the same in the other worlds. It was as if a supreme demon was about to come into being. Outside the world of the lotus, under the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, crowds of people had gathered from all directions. Of course, most of them were below the absolute saint level. However, there were also many elites above the martial emperor level. There were even a few figures standing at the highest point, surrounded by divine light. It was shocking. Those were a few great emperors. Everyone was waiting patiently. Those who had entered the world of the lotus had been there for a long time. They didn't know what had happened or what kind of opportunities they had obtained. Many were envious and looked forward to it. Boom. At this moment, a powerful light suddenly burst out from the cave in the world of the lotus and shot into the sky. However, the light then disappeared. The entire cave became dark. Even the projection of the lotus in the sky disappeared without a trace. The power of the lotus has disappeared, one of the great emperors exclaimed in shock. What? The others were also shocked. The power of the lotus had disappeared. Didn't that mean that people above the martial emperor level could enter? Many martial emperors' eyes shone with a blazing light. Roar. Roar. However, at this moment, a terrifying roar came from the cave. It was as if a supreme demon was roaring or a supreme demon was about to come into being. It was too terrifying. What's going on? What's this? What's in the world of the lotus? How could there be such a terrifying voice? Could it be that the people who entered earlier encountered these existences? Many people's expressions turned ugly. The great emperor's faces were solemn. The blocking force has indeed disappeared. Let's go in and take a look. It was Emperor Wu Xiong's voice. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and rushed into the cave. Great emperors from the Heng family, He family, and Deluo Heaven sect rushed into the cave. As soon as Emperor Wu Xiong and the others entered the cave, they appeared in the sky above the world of the lotus. Although there was a force in the world of the lotus that was trying to draw them into one of the petals, the great emperors were so powerful that they could resist this force and choose which petal to enter. Emperor Wu Xiang took a step forward and charged into one of the petals. The other 3 great emperors also rushed into different petals. The true emperors and void emperors outside looked greedy. This was the remains of the celestial emperor. How could they not be moved? Even if there were terrifying roars coming from below, they would not retreat. One by one, they rushed into the cave. At this moment, a few figures flashed across the sky. They were incredibly fast and rushed into the cave with the martial emperors. No one could see their faces clearly. These emperor-level experts entered different flower petals. The world that Emperor Wu Xiong entered was the Infinite Seas realm that Lu Ming had entered earlier. As soon as he appeared in the Infinite Seas realm, he looked in the direction of the Time Spiritual Island. Then, the space cracked open and he stepped into it. In the next moment, the space outside the Time Spiritual Island cracked open and Emperor Wu Xiong appeared. Roar. A terrifying roar came from the Time Spiritual Island. What a strong power of time. There's such a powerful being sealed here. Could it have been left behind by the Celestial Emperor? Emperor Wu Xiong muttered. His eyes were like stars that could see through everything as he looked into the depths of the Divine Light Spiritual Island. In his eyes, nothing could hide. He could clearly see the living beings below the sacred mountain of time. Emperor Wu Xiong's face changed suddenly. It's the evil god tribe. Emperor Wu Xiong's face was gloomy as he muttered, Since I've met you, I'll destroy you completely. Just as he was about to make a move, he suddenly looked into the distance and shouted, "Who is it?" Rip! The space there suddenly cracked open and a few voices stepped out. These figures were completely shrouded in dark demonic light and emitted a terrifying aura. One of them had an aura that was not weaker than Emperor Wu Xiong's. He was actually a peak Great Emperor. "Wu Xiong, long time no see. How have you been?" That Emperor Realm expert spoke. "Mo Ling and Xie Ling, it's you." Emperor Wu Xiong's cold voice sounded. If anyone else was here, they would be very shocked. This was because Mo Ling was the legendary sect leader of the demon spirit religion. Many years ago, he was active in the vicinity of Celestial City. He was an incomparably terrifying force that specialized in killing martial emperors or those with the potential to become martial emperors. As for Xie Ling, he was the sect leader of the demon spirit religion. Although he was not a great emperor, he was still an existence that stood at the peak of the true emperor realm. The leaders of these powerful and evil forces had arrived at this place at the same time. "Xie Ling, you guys go and destroy the seal. Leave Elder Wu Xiong to me." The demon spirit religion sect leader's voice sounded. His body moved and turned into a terrifying demonic light that charged toward Emperor Wu Xiong. "You are indeed from the evil god tribe. You want to let the evil god tribe out? Don't even think about it." Emperor Wu Xiong shouted angrily. His aura erupted as he blasted out a palm. A terrifying palm print blasted toward the evil spirit religion sect leader and the others who were rushing toward the time-sacred island. "Wu Xiong, your opponent is me." The demon spirit religion sect leader's demonic aura soared into the sky. A terrifying demonic saber slashed out violently, splitting the sky into two halves and blocking Emperor Wu Xiong's palm print. Scram! Emperor Wu Xiong blasted out a series of palm prints. With the addition of the Great Tao, every palm print had the power to destroy the world. However, the demon spirit religion sect leader was also a great emperor. He was in the same realm as Emperor Wu Xiong, and his battle strength was also terrifying. The demonic saber swept out and blocked Emperor Wu Xiong's attacks. Boom! Boom! On the other side, the evil spirit religion sect leader and the others had successfully rushed into the time-sacred mountain and destroyed the remaining two ancient altars. Roar! At the bottom of the time-sacred mountain, the huge figure roared loudly. Its aura was violent and shocking, and it rushed out like a raging wave. The entire divine light sacred mountain exploded, sending rubble flying everywhere. Clang! Chapter 1984. The huge figure struggled and pulled the chains. The time divine island shook, and huge cracks appeared in some places. The entire time divine island was on the verge of collapse. "Come and help me break this damn demon suppressing chain," the huge figure said. "Yes, my lord." The evil spirit sect leader and the others bowed in response. Then, they unleashed terrifying attacks at the chains. Clang! 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 The cultivation of these figures was very terrifying. Although they had not reached the Great Emperor realm, they were not far away. All kinds of attacks fell, and the chains shook and sparks flew. With the help of the enormous figure, one of the chains snapped with a loud clang. "Ha ha ha, I am finally going to be born. Heng you didn't kill me back then and used my power to suppress the void passage. In the end, you were too smart for your own good. I will make you regret it. Ha ha ha." The huge figure laughed crazily, and his aura was even more shocking. He struggled violently. Although Emperor Wu Xiong was anxious, he was entangled by the demon spirit sect leader and could not stop him. Clang! Clang! The sound of chains snapping could be heard. 8 consecutive snapping sounds could be heard. Following that, a terrifying aura soared into the sky, causing the sky to shake. Boom! At this moment, the entire time island began to crumble as a gigantic figure stepped out from it. As he stepped out, his figure began to shrink. Finally, he became the size of a normal person and revealed his true appearance. It was a middle-aged man with dark skin. He was naked, and the aura he exuded was extremely shocking. He was no weaker than Emperor Wu Xiong and the demon spirit sect leader. He was also a great Emperor realm elite. Boom! The middle-aged man threw a punch at Emperor Wu Xiong. Emperor Wu Xiong blocked with his palm and fought with the demon spirit sect leader and the middle-aged man. Although the middle-aged man had been sealed for countless years and was not as powerful as he was in his prime, he was still a great emperor. When he joined forces with the demon spirit sect leader, Emperor Wu Xiong was at a disadvantage. In another world, the myriad beast realm. In the cave where Lu Ming had obtained 2 of the 9 sealed scrolls, a figure descended. This person's aura was extremely shocking. He was also a great emperor. Moreover, it was not the great emperor of the He family, the great emperor of the Hung family, or the Deluo Heaven sect. It was an unfamiliar great emperor. A giant saber appeared in his hand. With a slash, the entire cave was split in half. Roar. An excited roar came from the bottom of the cave, causing the iron chains to collide with each other. Quick, help me break the chains. Excited voices came from the depths of the cave. The man in the air once again slashed out with his giant saber. A few saber lights chopped down, and the sound of chains breaking could be heard. Roar. Then, a loud roar rang out, and the ground exploded. An incomparably huge lizard crawled out from the depths of the ground. It was like a giant beast that had come from the primordial era. It was incomparably terrifying. This giant lizard was actually a great emperor-level existence. Let's go to the other worlds and save the others. The space cracked open. He and the giant lizard stepped into the space and arrived in another world. The Hung clan's great emperor was in one of the most ancient ruins in this world. A powerful creature is sealed here. The Hung family's great emperor's face was gloomy. Suddenly, the space cracked open, and the giant lizard and the great emperor expert arrived. A great battle broke out. The great emperor blocked the Hung clan's great emperor while the giant lizard rescued the powerful existences in the ruins. As a result, the Hung clan's great emperor did not dare to continue the battle and retreated. As for the other 3 powerhouses, they continued to head to other worlds to rescue the sealed powerhouses. The number of people on the other side was increasing. The great emperor of the He clan and the Deluo Heaven sect's great emperors were frightened and did not dare to stop them. Not long after, the powerful existences in the 8 ancient ruins in the 8 worlds were all rescued. All of them were great emperor realm creatures. This was definitely a terrifying and boundless power, horrifying to the extreme. Return to the 8 worlds. Move the worlds away, open the void passageways, and welcome my tribe. A voice rang out. It turned out that the experts who were sealed had all returned to their original worlds. In the Infinite Seas realm, at the Time God Island, Great Emperor Wu Xiong was at a disadvantage. Suddenly, the middle-aged man retreated, returning to the Time God Island. Shocking fluctuations erupted from him, and a pillar of light shot up into the sky. At that moment, the entire Infinite Seas realm was shaken. In the bright fire country of the vast seas realm, Wan Tianjiao stood above the palace and looked at the sky with a grave expression. He whispered, "Heaven and earth are shaking and roaring. What happened to this world? Is it related to the extraterrestrials? Lu Ming, what happened to you?" Not only Wan Tianjiao, but everyone in the Infinite Seas realm and other worlds looked up at the sky, their faces pale with fear. They felt as if a great disaster was about to befall them. In the 9th world, Lu Ming controlled the Celestial Emperor's sword and fought with the Celestial Emperor's body controlled by Xing He. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Suddenly, a terrifying roar was heard, as if it came from beyond the sky. The roar came one after another with shocking power. Many people's faces changed drastically, not knowing what was happening. "Lu Ming, the Celestial Emperor's sword is mine. Hand it over." Xing He roared, and the Celestial Emperor's body rushed toward Lu Ming again. In his eyes, the Celestial Emperor's body and the Celestial Emperor's sword were his. Lu Ming was not qualified to control them. Clang. Lu Ming controlled the Celestial Emperor's sword and fought with his opponent. After more than 10 blows, they were still in a stalemate. Rumble. Suddenly, heaven and earth roared, and the entire sky shook violently. It was as if the entire world was being moved. Buzz. Buzz. At that moment, the Celestial Emperor's sword and the Celestial Emperor's body shook involuntarily and emitted a resplendent radiance. The next moment, a figure flew out of the Celestial Emperor's body. It was Xing He. What's going on? Xing He roared. The Celestial Emperor's sword above Lu Ming's head vibrated and flew out. The Celestial Emperor's body held it in his hand. What should have happened has happened in the end, but I can't ignore it. The Celestial Emperor's body actually spoke. After saying that, he took a step forward, and the incomparably huge figure suddenly disappeared. No, my Celestial Emperor's body, Xing He roared, extremely indignant. He found it hard to accept that the Celestial Emperor's body had suddenly left him. With the Celestial Emperor's body, he could instantly become a top expert in the world, an overlord of a region. Martial artists rely on themselves. Only when they are strong can they be the strongest. It's ridiculous to only think about external things. Lu Ming was still calm. Since the Celestial Emperor's sword had flown away, then so be it. The road to the top could not be sustained by relying on a sword. Only by improving oneself would it be a power that belonged to oneself forever. Lu Ming, damn it, Xing He shouted coldly. He blamed everything on Lu Ming. Chapter 1985. I think you're the one who should die. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he stepped out and headed toward Xinghe. Xinghe's expression changed. He did not have the Celestial Emperor body now and was no match for Lu Ming. He retreated hurriedly and roared, Lu Ming, you don't need to rely on external forces, right? If you have the ability, fight me with your own strength. Sure, let's fight at the same level. Lu Ming said. You, Xinghe gritted his teeth. He had no confidence in fighting Lu Ming at the same level. He might even lose miserably. How could he agree? You're 2 levels higher than me, yet you're asking me to fight with my own strength. It's ridiculous that I don't dare to fight at the same level. Lu Ming sneered and mocked him. Xinghe's eyes were very cold. If he could, he would have chopped Lu Ming into pieces. But now, he could only escape. Buzz. Suddenly, the void vibrated. A powerful force suddenly descended and enveloped everyone. The next moment, the world spun and their figures disappeared from the 9th world. Lu Ming realized that he had appeared in the sky above the Lotus World, in the huge underground cave. Figures constantly flashed out. Huang Ling, Long Chen, Ouyang Wushuang, Luo Tianyi, and the others had all come out. Of course, Luo Tsangqiong, Xinghe, and the others had also come out. Not only them, but the people who were exploring other worlds were all teleported out by a powerful force. Look, what's that? The 9 worlds are moving. A vortex has appeared in the heart of the lotus. Someone shouted. Lu Ming and the others looked down and were shocked. From their vantage point, they could clearly see what was going on below. At this moment, the 9 petals of the lotus flower were slowly moving outward. A vortex had appeared in the heart of the lotus flower. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from the vortex. Then, 2 huge claws stretched out of the vortex. The claws had sharp nails and were covered with scales. They looked very ferocious. Then, the 2 pairs of claws grabbed one side of the vortex, as if they were trying to push the vortex to make it bigger. A shocking scene appeared. The whirlpool was actually slowly expanding. Then, 2 gigantic creatures poked their heads out of the whirlpool. The claw from before was from them. This is, Lu Ming's pupils constricted sharply. Lu Ming was all too familiar with this kind of living creature. They were covered in scales and had a 3rd eye between their eyebrows. Could this vortex lead to the world of the 3-eyed divine race? The race is invading. Lu Ming's mind was racing and his heart was extremely heavy. When he was young and weak, he followed the ancient Desolation City to a small island in the Heaven Realm by mistake. That was the first time he came into contact with the 3-eyed god tribe. During the Battle of Providence, when he first saw the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and later during the Primordial Chaos Sect's assessment. At the same time, he learned more about the race of the 3-eyed divine race. The race of the 3-eyed divine race did not belong to the Heaven Realm or the Primordial Realm. They were from another world. However, countless years ago, they had attacked the Heaven Realm, causing a great war in the Heaven Realm. Countless experts had fallen. Dandan had said that the final battle would come soon. It was also related to the race of the 3-eyed divine race. Could it be that the race of the three-eyed divine race was going to attack now? He finally understood what the mark of the heavenly emperor meant. It was referring to the invasion of the race of the three-eyed divine race. Roar! Roar! These two races of the three-eyed divine race were completely different from the ones Lu Ming had encountered before. They were too burly and huge. They supported the vortex and made it bigger and bigger. Kill your way to the primordial realm. Our race will rule the world. A series of roars could be heard from the vortex, causing everyone's expression to change. What is this? Someone's voice trembled. Could it be that the previous 9 worlds were suppressing this passage? Someone guessed with an ugly expression. At this moment, the space above the heart of the lotus split open, and a huge figure appeared. It was the celestial Theater's physical body. Looking from this direction, the celestial Theater's physical body seemed to be about the same size as the huge race of the three-eyed divine race. Race of the evil gods, scram back to your world. The celestial Theater's physical body shouted, holding the celestial the arch sword in his hand and slashing down violently. Poof! One of the huge race of the three-eyed divine race's arms was chopped off by the celestial the arch sword. Roar! The race of the three-eyed divine race roared, and the third eye between its brows shot out a ray of destructive light towards the celestial Theater's physical body. However, the celestial Theater's physical body punched out and destroyed the ray of destructive light. At the same time, the battle sword stabbed down and pierced through the race of the three-eyed divine race's forehead. Blood spurted out, and the huge battle sword went straight to the hilt. Sword chi erupted and minced the race of the three-eyed divine race's head into pieces. After the race of the three-eyed divine race died, its claws let go of the vortex, and the huge figure disappeared into the vortex. The celestial Theater's physical body held the battle sword and was about to kill another race of the three-eyed divine race. However, at this moment, the space split open, and several figures stepped out. One of them was the Demon Spirit Church's hierarch. You only have a physical body left, yet you still want to stop us. Today, I will destroy your physical body as well, the Demon Spirit Church's hierarch said coldly and attacked the celestial Theater's physical body. The celestial Theater's physical body slashed at the Demon Spirit Church's hierarch and sent him flying. Even though the celestial the arch was only left with his physical body, his power was still astonishing. Rip! At this moment, the space continued to split open, and a figure stepped out. The burly man with dark skin from the Time God Island and the huge lizard from the realm of beasts all exuded a vast and boundless aura. Great emperors, they are all great emperors. Someone shouted in shock. These existences that suddenly appeared were all great emperors. Could it be that these existences are all the existences that were sealed in those remnants? Someone's voice interjected and voiced his guess. Many people fell silent. It seemed that something big was going to happen. The previous changes might be related to these powerful existences. Some people cast their gazes towards the stellar river. They remembered that the celestial Theater's imprint had said that if they stepped forward, it would cause misery and suffering, and blood would flow like a river. Perhaps that was what it was referring to. Wasn't all of this caused by the stellar river? The stellar river snorted coldly, his face gloomy. He didn't care about the misery and suffering of the people, but what did the life and death of others have to do with him? What he was thinking about now was how to get the celestial Theater's physical body and the celestial the arch sword. Boom! Boom! A terrifying battle broke out. The Demon Spirit Church's hierarch, the huge lizard, and other powerhouses attacked the celestial Theater's physical body at the same time. The void in the heart of the lotus trembled violently. Hengyu, you have suppressed me for countless years. Today, I will devour your physical body. The giant lizard roared and spat out terrifying flames toward the celestial Theater's physical body. Chapter 1986. The heavenly emperor's body broke through the giant lizard's flames and attacked it. However, the other great emperors also attacked at the same time. All kinds of terrifying attacks blasted towards the heavenly emperor's body. Hengyu, it was your biggest mistake not to kill me back then. Today, I will tear your body apart. Those powerful beings had been suppressed for countless years. When they saw the Heavenly Emperor's body, they were filled with violent intent. Their eyes were red with killing intent as they launched terrifying attacks. Although these beings had been suppressed for countless years and their vitality was greatly damaged, their combat strength had been greatly reduced. However, they were still great emperors and their strength was not to be underestimated. After all, the Heavenly Emperor's body was just a body. Many people joined forces and all kinds of attacks fell on the Heavenly Emperor's body, causing it to retreat continuously. However, although the Heavenly Emperor's body retreated, there was not a single wound on its stone body. Clang! The stone sword vibrated and a bright light burst out from the stone man's body. At this moment, the Heavenly Emperor's body seemed to be revived. The stone sword swept across the sky and sword light burst out. Several powerful beings' faces changed drastically as they were sent flying by the sword. At this moment, the space in that area split open again as more experts stepped out and joined in the siege of the Heavenly Emperor's body. Kill our way out. Massacre the Yuan realm. Behind the vortex, there were constant roars and murderous aura that made people pale. The huge three-eyed divine being was doing its best to prop up the vortex, trying to make it bigger. A total of 10 great emperors joined in the siege of the Heavenly Emperor's body. Everyone's face turned ugly at this scene. 10 great emperors was an astonishing number. There were less than 10 great emperors in the Yuan Mountain sacred ground. Many people's faces were solemn. If the Heavenly Emperor could not resist and the foreign races rushed in, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Heavenly Emperor's body shone brighter and brighter. At this moment, the stone body seemed to be transforming into a body of flesh and blood. His combat strength was also more terrifying and powerful. The stone sword swept across the sky and blocked the attacks of the 10 great emperors for a moment. Rip! At this moment, the space continued to split open as Great Emperor Wu Xiong, Great Emperor Heng, Great Emperor He, and the great emperors of the Deluo Heaven sect appeared. Their faces were solemn as they joined in the battle to help the Heavenly Emperor's body resist the great emperors. Kill. With a helper, the pressure on the celestial Theacher's body was greatly reduced. He roared as the stone sword broke through a few attacks. He arrived in front of the giant lizard and slashed with the stone sword. At this moment, the stone sword seemed to have transformed into an indestructible divine object. It was incomparably sharp and cut off one of the lizard's tails. Roar! The giant lizard roared and frantically retreated. At the same time, the attacks of the other experts landed on the Sky Emperor's body. However, the Sky Emperor's body could not be bothered with them. It was as if he only had eyes for the giant lizard. One attack after another landed on the Sky Emperor's body. The Sky Emperor's body trembled for a moment before he continued to attack the giant lizard. Puff! The sword light pierced through the void, piercing through the giant lizard's forehead and into the sword hilt. Heng Yu, roar! The giant lizard let out a roar of despair, but in the next moment, the celestial emperor slashed with his sword, and the giant lizard's body was cut into two. Endless blood and flesh were absorbed by the two worlds, disappearing without a trace. Just like that, a great emperor was slain by the celestial emperor's physical body. Of course, this was also related to the fact that the giant lizard had been suppressed for many years and had not recovered its strength, but it was still shocking enough. Kill. The celestial emperor's physical body went berserk and attacked the others. After a few moves, he killed another powerful existence. The celestial emperor's physical body had killed two powerful enemies in a row. It was shocking. Every one of them was a great emperor. They were extremely powerful and terrifying, but now, they had fallen one after another. He doesn't have much energy stored in his body. There's only a wisp of imprint left. It's difficult to mobilize the heavenly energy. Let's attack him together. He won't last long, the demon spirit church leader roared. Their attacks continued to bombard the celestial emperor's physical body. The battle between Emperor Wu Xiong and the others was also very intense. All kinds of energy exploded and the great Tao was added to their bodies. It was extremely shocking. Fortunately, the space near the Lotus World was special. Lu Ming and the others seemed to be not far from the Lotus World, but they were actually very far away. Otherwise, they would definitely be implicated by the aftermath of the battle between the great emperors. Even so, it was still shocking to watch. Rumble. The shockwaves from the battle between the great emperors were too great. The 9 lotus petals, which were the 9 worlds, were shaking violently as if they were about to explode under the terrifying energy. Swoosh! A jet-black light of destruction burst forth and swept across one of the worlds. The space of that world was directly torn apart. Even though Lu Ming and the rest were very far away, they could see that in that world, countless people had been annihilated by the power of destruction and turned into ashes. Infinite Seas Realm. Lu Ming looked at the Infinite Seas Realm. The Infinite Seas Realm was also shaking violently. If it was penetrated, the people inside would also be in danger. Lu Ming looked worried. The Celestial Emperor's physical body erupted and the light became even brighter. He launched a storm-like attack and seriously injured another powerful existence. However, at this time, the aura of the Celestial Emperor's physical body began to weaken. It's too late. The Celestial Emperor's physical body shook his head. Then, he threw out the stone sword. The stone sword turned into thousands of sword lights and attacked those existences. His physical body instantly split into 8 and became even larger. Every figure carried a petal as they flew toward the boundless void outside. Only the 9th world was empty, so he didn't care. Finally, the Celestial Emperor's physical body carried the 8 worlds and rushed into the endless void. Tianjiao, take care. Lu Ming whispered and breathed a long sigh of relief in his heart. Although the Infinite Seas Realm and other worlds might never converge with the Primordial Realm after entering the vast void, at least they could survive. Kill. At this time, the vortex was slowly expanding, and then a dense number of figures rushed out from it. These figures were very burly, and each of them was covered in pitch-black scales and had a third eye between their eyebrows. The Three-Eyed Divine Tribe. They are indeed the Three-Eyed Divine Tribe. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. These figures were almost exactly the same as the Three-Eyed Divine Tribe that Lu Ming had seen before. Some of the Three-Eyed Divine Tribe rode on strange beasts, and some stepped on the air. Each of them had a strong aura, but as soon as they rushed out, they were crushed by the aura of the battle between the great emperors. Kill them and let the army in, the demon spirit hierarch shouted, and the remaining 8 great emperors madly attacked Emperor Wu Xiong and the others. Let's get out of here. Someone flew into the sky above the cave in fear. At this moment, 2 light figures flashed, and 2 figures appeared near Lu Ming and the others. Each of them emitted an astonishing fluctuation. That was the aura of a great emperor. A great emperor had rushed over. This is not a place where you can stay. Hurry up and leave, return to the Origin Mountain Sacred Court, and then leave Celestial City. Chapter 1987. Then, could it be the other 2 great emperors of the Yuanshan Academy? Ouyang Wushuang guessed. It's possible. Lu Ming and the others nodded. What should we do now? Huang Ling asked. This matter is beyond our ability. Let's listen to the great emperor and return to the Yuanshan Academy first. We'll take Xiong Xiong and the others and leave Celestial City. I feel that Celestial City won't be peaceful anymore, Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the roar below the cave became even more terrifying. The shocking fluctuations even made Celestial City tremble. Rays of light rushed out from the cave. The battle below became even more tragic. Let's go. They no longer stayed. They soared into the sky and rushed toward the Yuanshan Academy. The others did the same. They turned into rays of rainbow light and left this place. While they were flying toward the Yuanshan Academy, the vibration behind them became more and more intense. Terrifying rays of light rushed out from the cave. Kill. Behind them, they heard shouts of killing. From far away, they seemed to see burly figures riding strange beasts rushing out of the cave. Some three-eyed divine race rushed out from inside and set foot on the land of the primordial realm. They didn't dare to stay and flew with all their strength. Heavenly Emperor Mountain was quite a distance away from the Yuanshan Academy. 10 minutes later, they arrived at the Yuanshan Academy. At this time, the battle at the original Heavenly Emperor Mountain had already developed to an unknown state. Lu Ming and the others returned to the Yuanshan Academy and returned to their residence. At this time, Many people had already gathered at the residence. Lu Xiongxiong, Xuening Xin, and the others were all there. This time, only a group of the strongest people entered the world of the lotus. Those below the Supreme Saint realm didn't enter. They all stayed in the Yuanshan Academy, such as Lu Xiongxiong and the others. Master, what happened? Lu Xiongxiong asked. What happened at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain could be felt here because the vibration was too strong. There's an invasion. Now's not the time to talk. Gather everyone and leave Celestial City first. Hurry. Lu Ming ordered. Some of them should still be cultivating in seclusion. Immediately, they split up to gather the other members of the Dragon Alliance. For some of them, it was impossible to contact them in their cultivation grounds. Thus, they could only rely on the teachers of the Sacred Academy to pass on their messages. Half an hour later, most of the Dragon Alliance members had arrived. With the invasion of the foreign races, I'm afraid there will be a great battle in Celestial City. We have to withdraw from Celestial City. Who wants to go to Ancient Moon Holy Land with me? We can go together. If you don't want to, you can also leave together and return to your own forces, Lu Ming said. I'd better return to the sect. Me too. Let's return to the clan first. Many people said. Lu Ming nodded. These geniuses all had their own factions. They were members of the Dragon Alliance in the Origin Mountain Sacred Courtyard, but after leaving the Origin Mountain Sacred Courtyard, they naturally had to return to their respective sects. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't force it. In the Yuanshan Holy Courtyard, they belonged to the Dragon Alliance. In the future, they might be of use. Then let's go, Lu Ming said. Immediately, they flew out of the Yuanshan Sacred Courtyard. Kill them all. As soon as they arrived outside the Origin Mountain Sacred Courtyard, they heard a tide of battle cries. A group of three-eyed divine race riding strange beasts were fighting with a group of human martial artists. The battle was extremely tragic. Then, they glanced into the distance and found that all sides of Celestial City were engaged in a great battle. Rumble. In the depths of Celestial City, in the direction of Heavenly Emperor Mountain, the void trembled. Another group of three-eyed divine race riding strange beasts rushed over. The strange beasts stepped on the air, causing the sky to tremble violently. The three-eyed divine race had already charged out. The leader was a three-eyed member of the divine race. He was riding a huge and ferocious beast. He was wearing heavy armor and wielded a battle axe. His 3 eyes were as sharp as sword gleams. He swept his gaze toward Lu Ming and the group and shouted, "Charge, kill them, rumble." This group of three-eyed divine race rode a giant beast and charged toward them. The strongest is only a quasi-emperor. Charge. Lu Ming shouted and took the lead to charge forward. Die for me. The leader of the three-eyed divine race slashed down with his battle axe and slashed at Lu Ming. At the same time, a destructive light burst out from his third eye. Prison suppression. With a wave of Lu Ming's hand, 9 prison suppression monument phantoms emerged and suppressed forward. Prison suppression monument. It's the prison suppression monument. The leader of the three-eyed divine race roared in horror. Boom. Under the suppression of the prison suppression monument phantoms, the opponent's attack and defense were unable to withstand a single blow and were directly killed. In addition, dozens of other three-eyed divine race members were also killed. At the same time, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others attacked, and a group of three-eyed divine race members were also killed. They immediately rushed out of the encirclement and rushed out of Celestial City. Someone has the power of the prison suppression monument. We can't let them go. We must kill them. In the distance, there was a roar, and a group of three-eyed divine race powerhouses rode strange beasts and charged toward them. Lu Ming and the others accelerated and rushed outside. They have the power of the prison suppression monument. Kill. In the sky, there was a loud shout, and an incomparably huge battle axe slashed down at Lu Ming. The vast emperor's throne made people tremble in fear. Martial Emperor. A martial emperor powerhouse attacked Lu Ming, wanting to kill Lu Ming. But at this time, a huge iron rod swept out and collided with the battle axe, and a terrifying explosion erupted. Terrifying sound waves shook Lu Ming and the others' eardrums, stinging pain. A burly figure, holding an iron rod, appeared above Lu Ming and the others. It's a teacher. Lu Ming and the others were delighted. This is a teacher of Yuanshan Holy Court. You guys go quickly, we will block the other party's martial emperor. The voice of Yuanshan Holy Court's teacher came, and then, several figures appeared, exuding a vast aura. They are all teachers of Yuanshan Holy Court, and they are all martial emperor powerhouses. Let's go. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to everyone, and they continued to rush out. Stay. Kill him. Several roars sounded in succession, and several powerful three-eyed divine race powerhouses rushed toward Lu Ming and the others. They are all martial emperor powerhouses. A dignified martial emperor powerhouse, dealing with a few juniors. You evil races are really shameless. Your opponent is us. The teachers of Yuanshan Holy Court also took action, blocking the other party's martial emperor powerhouses. And Lu Ming and the others continued to rush out. Several three-eyed divine race cavalry rushed toward them in succession, but they were all defeated by them. Celestial City has been completely immersed in the flames of war. From that vortex, who knows how many three-eyed divine race rushed out, and there are shouts of killing everywhere. When Lu Ming and the others passed by the Hung family's territory, they found that the Hung family was also in a war. Above the Hung family, there are even true emperors fighting. The scene is astonishing. Chapter 1988. It was a mess, a complete mess. The Celestial City was in chaos. Without the help of the Emperor-level experts, their speed was extremely fast. Not long after, they finally arrived at the edge of the Celestial City. They rushed out of the city walls and rushed towards a citadel in the distance. Not long after, they successfully arrived at a citadel. Boom! Boom! Even though they were far away, they could still hear the violent roars coming from the Celestial City. From the Celestial City, there were constantly figures rushing out in all directions. Lu Ming and the rest did not stop and went to the teleportation array. However, most of them did not follow Lu Ming and the rest. Instead, they returned to their respective sects. Lu Ming, I have to return to the Divine Origin Empire first. The invasion of the foreign races is no small matter. The Divine Origin Empire must be prepared. Ouyang Wushuang said to Lu Ming. All right, let's split up. We'll meet again in the future, but you must stay alive. Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he looked at the crowd. Definitely. Everyone must stay alive. Alliance leader, take care. Everyone bid farewell to Lu Ming and stepped into the teleportation array. In the end, only the people from the ancient moon sacred ground, Luo Xiong, Huang Li, and the rest were left. Let's go. They also stepped into the teleportation array and teleported to the teleportation array outside the ancient moon sacred ground. Then, they flew towards the ancient moon sacred ground. After flying to the ancient moon sacred ground, Huang Ling, Long Chen, Luo Tianyi, Yi Dongfang and the rest left and returned to their respective sects. Now, the major forces in the ancient moon sacred ground probably had not received the news. They had to return as soon as possible to make preparations. In the end, Lu Ming brought Xiong Xiong, Xuening Xin, the 9 sky prides of the desolate race and Luo Xiong back to the Great Evolution Pill Hall. After returning to the Great Evolution Pill Hall and settling everyone down, Lu Ming found Uncle Kong and told him about the invasion of the three-eyed god race in the Celestial City. The evil god race has invaded. It's earlier than expected. Uncle Kong sighed, his face was solemn. Evil god race? Uncle Kong, where did these three-eyed monsters come from? Lu Ming asked. Kong Bo's cultivation was unfathomably deep, and he had lived for an unknown number of years. Perhaps he knew many secrets. They come from another world and call themselves the three-eyed god race. That's just boasting. We call them the evil god race. A long time ago, they attacked the heaven realm. After such a long time, most of the territory of the heaven realm has been conquered. Now, they have been trying to open the space barrier and invade the primordial realm. Uncle Kong said with a solemn expression, as if he was unwilling to say anything further, Lu Ming, your current mission is to focus on cultivating and improving your cultivation. You are not qualified to be involved in a battle like this. Lu Ming nodded. Even the Heaven Realm and the Hunyuan sect could not stop them. What could he do to stop them? Oh right, Uncle Kong, can you help me save someone? Lu Ming said. Then, he released the mid-autumn moon from the mountain river diagram. Until now, the mid-autumn moon was still unconscious. Uncle Kong's cultivation was profound, and he was the guardian of the Great Pill Evolution Hall. He was proficient in alchemy, so he might be able to save her. Uncle Kong stepped forward and waved his hand. A wave of energy shrouded the mid-autumn moon. After a while, Uncle Kong retracted the energy and frowned slightly. Lu Ming's heart sank. He quickly asked, Uncle Kong, how is the mid-autumn moon's injury? What a domineering method. She must have been attacked by the law of deprivation, Uncle Kong said. Yes, the person who attacked her has mastered the law of deprivation, Lu Ming said. No wonder, Uncle Kong said in a low voice, the injuries on her body are basically healed, but her soul is severely injured. Her soul is injured. Lu Ming was shocked. Soul injuries were the most difficult to heal. Yes, this girl's soul was attacked by the law of deprivation. She is seriously injured, so she has not woken up. If she wants to wake up, she must condense her soul. Otherwise, she will never wake up, Uncle Kong said. What? Lu Ming's heart trembled. He could not help but clench his fists tightly. It was possible that she would never wake up. At this moment, Lu Ming's killing intent towards Luo Tsungqiong was extremely strong. After taking a deep breath, Lu Ming calmed himself down and said, Uncle Kong, is there any way to condense the soul of the mid-autumn moon? Uncle Kong frowned and pondered. After a while, he said, now, we can only put the girl into the Great Pill Evolution Cauldron and use the alchemy fire to nourish her body. Every once in a while, we will need to add in some sacred herbs. This way, not only can we maintain the vitality of her body, but also prevent the remnants of her soul from dissipating. She can even slowly condense her soul. However, this method is only a temporary solution. If you want to completely wake her up, you will need other method. Uncle Kong said. All right, I will do it immediately. Immediately, Lu Ming took out the Great Pill Evolution Cauldron and placed Autumn Moon inside. He controlled the alchemy fire of the Great Pill Evolution Cauldron to envelop Autumn Moon's body. Then, Lu Ming added in some sacred herbs. Under the effect of the alchemy fire, the medicinal efficacy of the sacred herbs seeped into Autumn Moon's body. Uncle Kong, do you know of any other methods that can completely wake Autumn Moon up? Lu Ming continued to ask. Uncle Kong shook his head and said, I have been in seclusion for many years, so I don't know much. However, you can go to the Vientiane Tower and ask around. Maybe you can find a method. This girl will be fine in the Great Pill Evolution Cauldron for a few hundred years. Don't worry. Vientiane Tower, Lu Ming's heart moved. Unfortunately, the celestial city was in chaos now, so he could not ask around for now. Fortunately, the mid-autumn moon was fine for now. He could only slowly look for a method in the future. After chatting with Uncle Kong for a while, Lu Ming left. Following that, he brought Xiong Xiong and called Ouyang Moli over and introduced them to each other. Senior sister, Ouyang Moli bowed to Lu Xiong Xiong. Actually, Lu Xiongxiang was 2 years younger than Ouyang Moli. But at this moment, she had her hands behind her back and looked at Ouyang Moli with curiosity. She blinked her big eyes and looked at Ouyang Moli. She said in an old-fashioned manner, You are second junior brother? Your cultivation is not good enough. You have to work harder. Yes, senior sister. Ouyang Moli nodded his head. Lu Xiongxiong still had that old-fashioned look. She nodded her head slightly and her eyes were filled with excitement. She felt that the taste of being the senior sister was pretty good. Lu Ming found it funny. This girl really had the demeanor of a senior sister. Xiong Xiong, don't be arrogant. Your second junior brother has only cultivated for about 2 years and is about to become a saint. If you don't work hard, he will catch up to you, Lu Ming said with a serious face. Less than 2 years. So fast. Lu Xiongxiong blinked her big eyes. Ouyang Moli's cultivation speed was even faster than hers. Ouyang Moli had the body of reincarnation and had obtained the heart of the realm from the reincarnation emperor. His cultivation speed was shockingly fast, even faster than Lu Xiongxiong. In addition, with Uncle Kong's guidance, his foundation was extremely solid. He had already reached the peak of the half-saint realm and would soon become a saint. This kind of cultivation speed was too shocking. As his master, he felt ashamed. However, Lu Xiongxiong and Ouyang Moli were true children of the heavens. They were not like Lu Ming, who was born with exceptional talent. It was normal for his cultivation speed to be fast in the early stages. Later on, his cultivation speed would slow down. For example, Heng Xinghe had been stuck at the peak of the Paragon Saint realm for 1 or 2 years and had not broken through to the boundary Emperor realm. There are many prodigies in the world. Don't be arrogant, Lu Ming warned seriously. Yes, Master. Chapter 1989. In the following days, everyone cultivated in the Great Development Pill Hall. Lu Ming would often go to the Phoenix Palace and Divine Elephant Sect to find Long Chen and Huang Ling to understand the situation. The invasion of the foreign tribes shook the entire Yuan Mountain. Many powerful forces in the ancient Moon Sacred Ground were alarmed and began to gather the experts scattered across the land. As time passed, news about the invasion of the foreign tribes continued to spread. The Celestial City was completely occupied. The overlords of the Celestial City, Heng family and He family, fled the Celestial City and their whereabouts were unknown. Countless martial artists died in the battle. The Celestial City suffered heavy losses. A few days after the foreign tribes occupied the Celestial City, they began to send an army in all directions of the Celestial City. Everywhere they passed, not even chickens or dogs were spared. One by one, the emperor-ranked forces were attacked by the foreign tribes. From the martial emperors to the women and children who didn't know martial arts, everyone was killed. Everywhere they passed, blood flowed like a river and hundreds of millions of corpses were lying on the ground. Everyone was moved. The foreign tribes' methods were too ruthless. This was simply a massacre. The emperor-ranked forces around the Celestial City retreated to the 8 great sacred grounds. Among the 9 great sacred grounds of the Yuan Mountain, the Celestial City was at the center. The other sacred grounds surrounded the Celestial City. During this period, emperor-ranked forces poured into the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. As for the foreign tribes, they sent an army to attack in all directions and began to approach the other sacred grounds. 2 months after the battle in the Celestial City, the first foreign tribe army appeared outside the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. When they attacked the ancient Moon Sacred Ground, they were defeated by the experts of the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. In the face of this unprecedented pressure, all the powerful forces of the ancient Moon Sacred Ground temporarily put aside their grudges and formed an alliance. The Wind Clan came forward and gathered all the forces together to build a huge base. Many forces gathered together to resist the foreign tribes. The number of clashes between the ancient Moon Sacred Ground and the foreign tribes began to increase. Chaos is coming. Lu Ming stood on the peak of the Great Development Pill Hall, looking into the distance and muttering. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed from the distance. Its speed was too shocking. When Lu Ming reacted, the ray of light appeared in front of Lu Ming. When Lu Ming saw the true appearance of the ray of light, he couldn't help but be shocked. A 1-meter-tall stone man with a stone sword. Wasn't this the sword of the Celestial the Arch? Also, that was the Celestial Emperor's physical body. Although it was countless times smaller than when they first met, Lu Ming still recognized at a glance that it was the Celestial Emperor's physical body. In the previous battle, the Heavenly Monarch's physical body wielded the stone sword and killed 2 great monarchs consecutively. Later on, Lu Ming and the others returned to the ancient Moon Sacred Ground, but there was no news of the Heavenly Emperor's body or the other great emperors. At this moment, the Celestial Emperor's physical body and the Celestial Emperor's sword had actually come here. And from the looks of it, they were here for Lu Ming. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Celestial Emperor's body and Celestial Emperor's sword moved and flew into Lu Ming's glabella. They floated in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Lu Ming was a little confused. At this moment, a white light flashed in front of Lu Ming and a figure floated out. It was the Celestial Emperor's figure. Lu Ming was shocked and quickly bowed. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior Celestial Emperor. There's no need for formalities. I'm just a mark. The Celestial Emperor's figure smiled. Senior Celestial Emperor, why are you here? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. Back then, wasn't the Celestial Emperor's physical body controlled by Xing He? Why was it flying into his sea of consciousness together with the Celestial Emperor's sword? Xing He is too selfish. He only cares about himself and not others. He is not qualified to control the Celestial Emperor's physical body. You, on the other hand, have a good character. You are decisive and talented. Most importantly, you have something to protect. Moreover, you can pull out the battle sword that I left behind. This is enough to prove that you are qualified to control what I left behind. The Celestial Emperor's figure nodded. Lu Ming couldn't help but touch his nose. He wasn't as good as the Celestial Emperor made him out to be. He was just not that selfish. Senior Celestial Emperor, is the Hung family really your descendant? Lu Ming asked. The Celestial Emperor pondered for a while, seemingly recalling the past, and said, I'm not a human. I achieved Tao with a stone man body. When I just achieved Tao, I had a descendant with a human woman. That was the Hung family later. Speaking of which, the Hung family is indeed my descendant. However, countless years have passed. These juniors seem to be getting more and more useless. If you have a grudge with the Hung family, you don't have to worry about me. Senior Celestial Emperor is actually a stone man who achieved Tao. Lu Ming's heart stirred. No wonder the Celestial Emperor's physical body was a stone man. The battle sword he used was also made of stone. Senior, your cultivation is so strong. Back then, how did you? Lu Ming was very curious. He wanted to know what the Celestial Emperor experienced back then. With Celestial Emperor Heng Yu's cultivation, why did he fall? You want to ask me why I fell, right? The Celestial Emperor's figure smiled and said, speaking of which, I didn't fall. Didn't fall? Lu Ming was overjoyed, but he was immediately filled with doubts. If the Celestial Emperor didn't fall, why would he leave behind a physical body and a mark? I'll have to start from the evil god tribe, the Celestial Emperor's figure said. Immediately, the Celestial Emperor's figure told Lu Ming in detail. In ancient times, foreign tribes invaded the Heaven Realm and fought with the mighty figures of the Heaven Realm. At that time, heaven and earth were penetrated and connected to the primordial realm. Many relics of the Heaven Realm fell into the primordial realm. Some Heaven Realm cultivators also entered the primordial realm. Of course, there were also some foreign tribe cultivators who entered the primordial realm. However, the foreign tribe cultivators who entered the primordial realm were only a minority. Later on, these foreign tribe cultivators hid in the primordial realm. There were even strange and terrifying races who took over the bodies of humans and established their own factions. For example, the Demon Spirit Sect, the Evil Spirit Sect, and others. These factions specialized in hunting down human prodigies and human cultivators. Lu Ming finally knew the origin of the Evil Spirit Sect. It was actually created by foreign tribe cultivators. No wonder many Evil Spirit Sect cultivators, like the Three-Eyed Divine Tribe, were afraid of his prison-suppressing monument. A long time ago, the foreign tribe found a weak point in space and wanted to open a passage to let the evil god tribe's army in. However, they were discovered by the Celestial Emperor Heng Yu. In order to stop these foreign tribe cultivators, a great battle broke out between the two sides. However, among the foreign tribe cultivators, there was a terrifying cultivator who specialized in attacking souls. He was also a Celestial Emperor, and he tore apart the Celestial Emperor Heng Yu's soul. Although the Celestial Emperor Heng Yu killed the other party in the end, his own soul was close to collapse. In the end, the Celestial Emperor Heng Yu used his remaining strength to seal the other party's 8 theatres into a small world. With the power of the small world and his own physical strength, he suppressed the passage. Lu Ming finally understood the origin of the Lotus World. However, although my soul was scattered back then and only a wisp of remnant soul was left, when I was about to die, I had a great enlightenment and broke through to another level. Instead, I condensed a physical body and came back to life. So, speaking of which, I can be considered someone who has died once. Chapter 1990. I've recondensed my body and come back to life. Lu Ming was shocked. He could imagine the unparalleled power of Heavenly Emperor Heng Yu back then. He single-handedly blocked many foreign race elites and killed their Heavenly Emperor. He used the power of the small world to suppress the void passage and prevent the foreign race from invading. Finally, his remnant soul came back to life and reached a higher level. If this was written into a book, it would be a legend. However, Lu Ming had another question. Since the Heavenly Emperor was not dead, where was he now? Why did he only leave a mark? He did not appear in the previous battle. As if seeing Lu Ming's doubts, the Heavenly Emperor's figure explained, the Yuan realm has not reached the time for the real war. The war in the Heavenly realm has reached a critical juncture. There are 9 heavens in the Heavenly realm, but the other 8 heavens do not have a passage to the Yuan realm. Only the last heavens, the Taiqing Heavenly realm, has a passage directly to the Yuan realm. Now, the remaining elites of the Heavenly realm are guarding the Taiqing Heavenly realm. The evil god tribe has always wanted to take over the Taiqing Heavenly realm and then use the passage to invade the Yuan realm. I am now fighting in the Heavenly realm. Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. Today, he learned a lot of secrets. This body of mine is a stone body. It is now like a puppet. I'll give it to you. I hope it can help you. The Heavenly Emperor's figure continued. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The Heavenly Emperor's body was infinitely powerful. He had seen it before. It could even kill a great emperor. If he could control it, he would immediately become an unparalleled elite. The Golden Crow tribe and the Wan family would all be destroyed. Don't be happy too early. To control this stone body, you need energy. In the previous battle with the foreign race, I used up all my energy. Now, this mark is about to dissipate. So, to control this stone body, you have to constantly let it absorb energy. The more energy it absorbs, the stronger it will be. This stone body is like a puppet. Now that it has no energy, it can't be controlled and can't exert much power. The Heavenly Emperor's words were like a bucket of cold water splashed on Lu Ming's head. It looked like he was happy for nothing. However, Lu Ming immediately became excited again. This was the corporeal body of a celestial emperor. If he absorbed enough energy, he would be able to unleash terrifying power. Now, I'll teach you how to control this stone body and how to absorb energy. The Heavenly Emperor's figure walked over and tapped a finger on Lu Ming's forehead. Some information immediately appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Alright, this imprint of mine has completed its mission. It's time for it to dissipate. Little fellow, I look forward to the day when you grow up. The Celestial Emperor smiled. Senior, Lu Ming felt a little sad. Haha, there's no need to feel sorry for me. I'm not dead yet. My main body in the Heaven realm can sense everything that's happening here. I hope we can meet in the Heaven realm and fight side by side. The Heavenly Emperor's imprint smiled. Then, like a wisp of green smoke, it dissipated and disappeared between heaven and earth. Senior, I believe it won't be long before we meet again. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. Then, he sat cross-legged and carefully comprehended the method of controlling the stone body and absorbing energy that the Celestial Emperor had taught him. 2 hours later, Lu Ming had comprehended everything. He activated his cultivation method and carefully sensed it. He found that whether it was the Celestial Emperor's body or the Celestial Emperor's sword, they were like the bottom of a dry lake. There was no energy at all and he couldn't control them. Let's try absorbing the origin stones. Lu Ming waved his hand and took out 100,000 high-grade origin stones. He activated them according to the method taught by the Celestial Emperor. Clang! The Celestial Emperor's sword flew to the back of the Celestial Emperor's body. The two merged together as if they were one. Bang! 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 100,000 origin stones exploded in an instant, turning into billowing energy that was absorbed by the Celestial Emperor's body and the Celestial Emperor's sword. A moment later, the energy of 100,000 primordial stones was completely absorbed. Lu Ming hurriedly sensed it and his face immediately turned bitter. He found that the 100,000 origin stones were not even filled with 1% of the energy. Not even 1,000th of the energy was filled. How much energy would it take to fill it up? Lu Ming was speechless. In the end, he gritted his teeth and took out 1,000,000 high-grade origin stones to let the Celestial Emperor's body begin to absorb. In the end, what made Lu Ming wail was that the energy of 1,000,000 high-grade origin stones was still not even 1% of the energy. Sigh, I'd better absorb the energy slowly. Haste makes waste. Lu Ming sighed and put the Celestial Emperor's body into the mountain river diagram, letting the Celestial Emperor's body absorb the energy between heaven and earth on its own. Now, Lu Ming felt that he was especially short of resources. The mid-autumn moon needed to refine sacred herbs often, and the Celestial Emperor's body needed a huge amount of energy. Fortunately, the Celestial Emperor's body could absorb any kind of energy, not limited to origin stones. Closing his eyes, Lu Ming cultivated quietly. Through the Celestial Emperor's words, Lu Ming felt a sense of urgency. The Celestial Realm seemed to be completely defeated. They could only defend the last Celestial Realm, the Grand Pure Sky, to stop the foreign tribes. If the foreign tribes broke through the Grand Pure Sky Celestial Realm, they would be able to send a large army through the Void Passage directly into the Primordial Realm. The passage in the Celestial Emperor City was just a small passage. More than 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. During these days, more and more foreign tribes came to the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground to attack the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. The various forces in the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground were under increasing pressure. In the end, in order to boost morale, the various sects joined forces and pooled their resources to create merit points. As long as one killed a foreign tribe member, they would be able to obtain merit points. Killing a martial emperor alien would give him 1 merit point. Killing a minor bright saint alien would give him 5 merit points. Killing a great bright saint alien would give him 10 merit points. Following this, as one's cultivation level increased, the merit points would double. With these merit points, one could exchange for all kinds of treasures, such as sacred herbs, sacred weapons, emperor weapons, origin stones, and so on. As a result, the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground was in high spirits. The various major forces and the emperor-level forces from the outside world went out to hunt the foreign tribes. Lu Ming also decided to bring the group out to hunt the foreign tribes. Firstly, in a life-or-death battle, they could train themselves, stimulate their potential, and increase their cultivation level. Secondly, they could also exchange for resources, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Palace Master, go ahead. Take this jade talisman. If you encounter a martial emperor expert, crush it. The jade talisman will bring you back to the Great Evolution Pill Hall. Uncle Kong handed a jade talisman to Lu Ming. Lu Ming happily took it. This way, he would have less to worry about. If he encountered an emperor-level expert, he would be able to escape. After that, Lu Ming brought Huang Li and the other 9 desolate tribe geniuses along with Luo Xiong, Xiong Xiong, and Luo Xiong. Ouyang Moli's cultivation level was still low, so he did not bring him along. They flew to the west of the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground and met up with Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Tianyi at the foot of a mountain. Lu Ming, this is the base built by the various forces in the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground. Chapter 1991. The mountain was extremely majestic, and there were many majestic palaces built on it. There was no such mountain here in the past. Some time ago, the almighties of the various factions had forcefully uprooted it from the ground. It was 100,000 feet tall and had a radius of 10,000 miles. Every faction had built a huge and majestic palace on it. The various factions had sent a large number of experts to stay there. This way, the strength of the various factions could quickly gather and effectively deal with the attacks of the foreign tribes. They could also effectively counterattack. After all, the Ancient Moon Sacred Ground was very big. There were at least 20 powerful factions scattered all over the place. If they wanted to gather the strength of the various factions at the last minute, it would be too difficult and would take time. If that happened, they would probably be attacked by the foreign tribes one by one. With a common base, the experts of the various factions could gather and mobilize them. It would be much more effective. Huang Ling and the others led Lu Ming and the others around in a big circle. Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, and the others cultivated there. There was a huge palace. At the peak of the mountain, there was a huge and majestic palace. That was the place where merit points could be exchanged for resources. It was built by the various factions together. Currently, the strongest faction in the ancient Moon Sacred Ground is one of the ancient clans, the Wind Clan. The Wind Clan is temporarily in charge, and the other factions are assisting, Huang Ling explained. Lu Ming nodded. Let's go and hunt the foreign tribes. A cold glint flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. Then, the group flew out of the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. Soon, they flew out of the ancient Moon Sacred Ground and into the wilderness. Whoosh, whoosh. High in the sky, a figure flashed by at an astonishing speed. It was an Emperor-level expert. The Emperor-level experts of the ancient Moon Sacred Ground would naturally deal with the Emperor-level experts of the foreign tribes. The ones they hunted were those below the Emperor level. Boom, boom, boom. After flying for a while, they heard a loud explosion in front of them. Kill, kill. Intense battle cries came like a tide. In front, large groups of foreign tribes rode on strange beasts and stepped on the void, fighting with the human martial artists. It was extremely tragic. At a glance, there were countless figures. In the sky, there was a terrifying burst of light, and a terrifying pressure came down like a mountain. In the sky was the battlefield of the Emperor-level experts. Rumble. As soon as Lu Ming and the others arrived, they were immediately targeted by the outsiders. The main reason was that Lu Ming and the others were too young. They attracted too much attention. The armored horses stepped into the air and charged towards them. The one leading them was a quasi-emperor expert. Leave the quasi-emperor to me. You guys be careful. Lu Ming warned and flew forward, a long spear appearing in his hand. That spear had been obtained from Luo Pokong. It was an imperial armament. Whoosh. The spear pierced through the air, instantly traversing the void, breaking through the destructive light shot out from the third eye and piercing through the opponent's head. A quasi-emperor was instantly killed. With Lu Ming's current battle prowess, he could instantly kill ordinary quasi-emperors. As for Huang Ling, Long Chen, Xiong Xiong and the others, they were also fighting with the others. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the spear trembled. The third eye of the outsiders flew out and was put into Lu Ming's storage ring. The third eye of the outsiders could be considered a miraculous refining material. Furthermore, the third eye of the outsiders could be used to exchange for contribution points. With the death of the quasi-emperor leader, this group of outsiders was no match for Lu Ming and the others. They were instantly killed. Kill them. In the distance, even more outsiders charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Their iron hooves stomped on the air, looking very mighty. There were at least several hundred outsiders. Furthermore, there were 7 or 8 quasi-emperors. With so many experts charging at Lu Ming and the others, beams of destructive light shot towards Lu Ming and the others before they arrived. These beams of destructive light were not only aimed at Lu Ming but also at Desolate Force, Xiong Xiong, and the others. Spatial barrier. Chirp. Chirp. Bubbles stepped into the void and pressed down with her small hand. The surrounding void rippled like water, forming a barrier. When the beams of destructive light hit the spatial barrier, they were like stones sinking into the sea. It was unknown where they went. Kill. Lu Ming took the lead and charged forward. His emperor-level spear trembled, and beams of spear light enveloped 5 or 6 quasi-emperors. The weapons used by the three-eyed divine race were similar to the desolate race. They were all heavy weapons. They were either battle axes or hammers. They swung them and attacked Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's spear light. However, in the next moment, transparent bubbles suddenly appeared on their bodies, enveloping them. Following that, Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear, killing quasi-emperors one after another. With Lu Ming and Bubbles working together, ordinary quasi-emperors could only die. In the blink of an eye, 4 quasi-emperors were killed by the 2 of them. Courting death. A particularly burly quasi-emperor broke through the Bubbles' shackles. His third eye shot out a beam of light that instantly rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's spear trembled and swept towards the beam of light. Boom! The spear trembled, and Lu Ming could not help but feel his arm go numb. Kill! The Quasi-Emperor wielded his battle axe and charged towards Lu Ming. Not bad. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This three-eyed divine race was much stronger than the other Quasi-Emperors. He was comparable to the human race's superior heaven astral body Quasi-Emperors. Leave the Quasi-Emperors to me and Bubbles. You guys deal with the others. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xiong Xiong and company. Then, he held his spear and fought with the strongest Quasi-Emperor. As for Bubbles, she charged towards the other Quasi-Emperors. Lu Xiong Xiong, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others charged towards the Quasi-Emperors. Many people had gained something from the trip to the world of the Lotus. Long Chen and Huang Ling's cultivation had reached the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. Huang Li's cultivation had also reached the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. Luo Tianyi had even reached the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. Luo Xiong's cultivation was comparable to Lu Ming's. He was at the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. With their combat strength, it was still easy for them to deal with the three-eyed divine race who were not Quasi-Emperors. They immediately killed a large number of them. Lu Xiong Xiong was enveloped in a ball of green mist. With a shout, a huge ancient tree formed. It was like the everlasting azure tree. It stood tall in the sky and suppressed a three-eyed divine race who was at the peak of the Absolute Saint realm. Boom! The three-eyed divine race was directly killed by the everlasting azure tree. Not even his bones were left. Xiong Xiong's cultivation was only at the peak of the Great Saint realm, but she could already kill an absolute saint. The combat strength of the Elysian children was indeed shocking. At the same time, Lu Ming had already exchanged a few blows with the Quasi-Emperor. I can't use the Imperial weapon alone. I'll use the 10,000 weapon incantation to refine the Imperial weapon into my acupoint. Lu Ming thought. He put away the Imperial weapon and used the chaotic finger of calamity instead. Whoosh! He pointed his finger at the Quasi-Emperor's battle axe. The Quasi-Emperor's body shook violently. He couldn't help but retreat. The battle axe in his hand was knocked away. Then, Lu Ming pointed his finger again. This time, the force was highly condensed. It formed a small finger force and shot toward the Quasi-Emperor. The Quasi-Emperor seemed to sense danger. A layer of black light covered his body. He punched at Lu Ming with both fists. Chapter 1992. After killing the opponent, Lu Ming rushed over and snatched the opponent's third eye. Then, he helped Bubble kill the other boundary emperors. In this way, those below the boundary emperor level were no match for them and were slaughtered in large numbers. Soon, this group of three-eyed divine tribe members was wiped out. Then, they killed in other directions. This battlefield was very vast. In the sky, there were figures of martial artists and three-eyed divine tribe members everywhere. There was no end in sight. Lu Ming and the others gathered together and like a sharp knife, they rushed into the battlefield and killed the three-eyed divine tribe members. With Lu Ming and Bubble's combat strength, they were almost invincible against those below the martial emperor level. They killed the three-eyed divine tribe members one by one. After a few hours of killing, in the distant sky, there was a violent sound of war drums. Then, the three-eyed divine tribe retreated. The ancient Moon Holy Land experts also retreated back to the city. Lu Ming and the others did not immediately go to the base to exchange for merit points. They did not have enough and wanted to wait until they had accumulated more merit points. Sure enough, on the second day, the three-eyed divine tribe army attacked again. Many ancient Moon Holy Land experts also went out to kill. In the empty wild mountain, they continued to fight. This was a war between two different races. It was a life and death battle. No one would show mercy. On the ground, there were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. There were human martial artists, demon martial artists, and three-eyed divine tribe members. After fighting for a while, the three-eyed divine tribe members seemed to feel that they could not win and retreated. But on the second day, they would attack again. After more than 10 days of fighting, Lu Ming and the others gained a lot. When the three-eyed divine tribe retreated again, Lu Ming and the others returned to the base. They went to the highest point and prepared to exchange for some treasures. Lu Ming mainly wanted to exchange for sacred medicine and origin stones. You guys, take out the three-eyed divine tribe's third eye. A group of old men stood on a huge counter. These people were all experts of the major forces. Those resources were jointly provided by the major forces. Naturally, each force would send experts to supervise. Lu Ming and the others took out their storage rings, and then a large number of three-eyed god races' third eyes appeared. It was piled up like a small hill, causing many people to be stunned. The third eye of the three-eyed divine race was like a gem, sparkling and dazzling. It was very beautiful and contained miraculous power. It could be used to refine weapons and was a good material for refining weapons. So many of them. So many of them are at the Sage Realm or even the Boundary Emperor Realm. Terrifying. The son of Chaos Lu Ming, these people's battle prowess is too terrifying. Indeed. I've seen them fight before. They can kill quasi-emperors in an instant. Apart from martial emperors, no one else can do that. Around them, many people were looking at the three-eyed god tribe with burning eyes. Among them, a white-haired old man counted the eyeballs. These eyeballs of the three-eyed divine race could be exchanged for 1,000,000 merit points. How astonishing was that? What treasure do you want to exchange for? The white-haired old man asked. Wait. Right at this moment, a cold voice sounded. Following that, a few figures walked out from the hall. The leader was a young man with an elegant demeanor. Feng Wuchen. Cold killing intent appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. Feng Wuchen also glanced coldly at Lu Ming and the others. Finally, his gaze landed on the three-eyed divine race's eyeballs and revealed a trace of greed. You want to exchange for treasures? Feng Wuchen asked. That's right. Lu Ming replied. I'm afraid that's not possible. You're too late. During this period of time, a large number of treasures have been exchanged. The number of treasures in the treasury has decreased sharply, so we can't exchange for them for the time being. Feng Wuchen sneered. Not enough treasures. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Ridiculous. We came here and there aren't enough treasures. How can others have enough? Huang Ling sneered. Others have less, but you have more. Naturally, it's not enough. If you're willing to exchange for treasures at a discount, that's fine too. Feng Wuchen sneered. If you say it's not enough, then it's not enough. This place isn't under your control. The other seniors didn't say that it's not enough. Lu Xiongxiong shouted, looking very unhappy with Feng Wuchen. Although many treasures have been exchanged during this period of time, the remaining treasures should be enough, right? An expert from Phoenix Palace said. That's not right. If the remaining treasures are all exchanged by them, then there won't be anyone else here. Won't that disappoint everyone and damage their morale? An elder from the Wind tribe said. The expression of the person from Phoenix Palace darkened, but he didn't say anything. This time, the ancient moon sacred ground was led by the Wind tribe. The Wind tribe was undoubtedly the strongest. During this period of time, the other factions will continue to replenish their treasures. When they're done, you can come again. Feng Wuchen smiled faintly. How long will it take for the next replenishment? Huang Ling asked. A few months. Feng Wuchen said. Then we'll come again next time. Lu Ming said. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Feng Wuchen. With a wave of his hand, he put away the eyeball of the three-eyed divine race. Why don't you keep the eyeball of the three-eyed divine race? We'll record it in our account and won't shortchange you. Feng Wuchen said. No need. I can't trust a despicable person like you, Lu Ming said and turned to leave. The others smiled mockingly and also turned to leave. Damn it. Feng Wuchen's expression darkened. His eyes darted around as if he was thinking of a scheme. In my opinion, that Feng guy is deliberately targeting us. He's deliberately not exchanging for us. I really want to beat him up, Huang Li said unhappily. With so many factions present, they can't deny it. At most, we'll exchange for it later, Lu Ming said. Those resources and treasures were gathered by the various factions and didn't belong to the Wind Tribe alone. They couldn't deny it. They just had to wait for a while. In the next few days, they continued to fight with the three-eyed divine race every day to train themselves. Ever since Xiangxiang Bela started cultivating, she had rarely fought with her enemies. This was a very good tempering for her. During this period, Xiangxiang's combat experience increased rapidly. Even her cultivation showed signs of loosening, nearing the great sage realm. This made the others sigh. The cultivation speed of the Elysian children was truly astonishing. On this day, they set off again and stepped onto the battlefield. Lu Ming, I want to separate from you guys and train alone, Huang Ling said. I have the same intention, Long Chen also said. Then, Luo Tianyi and Huang Li also expressed their intentions. Although it was safer for everyone to gather together, it wouldn't have a good training effect. There wouldn't be the feeling of a life-and-death crisis. Only by facing danger alone could one stimulate one's potential and reach a higher level. If you want to cultivate the light of the laws, you have to train in life-and-death situations. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to cultivate it, Luo Tianyi said. The eyes of the others also lit up with a blazing light. They were all geniuses and all had ambitions. They all wanted to become stronger. Only by cultivating the light of the laws could they suppress other Elysian children. Chapter 1993. Alright, but it's best if there are two of you or more. That way, we can take care of each other, Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Then, Luo Tianyi and Huang Li led the other geniuses and charged into the distance. Long Chen, Huang Ling, and Luo Xiong formed a group and ran into the distance. Bubbles, you provide support. If any of them are in danger, help them immediately, Lu Ming said to Bubbles. All right, brother Lu Ming. Chirp chirp. Bubble nodded, and her petite body flashed, disappearing without a trace. As for Lu Ming, he led Lu Xiangxiang and charged in one direction. Bam! Not long after, Lu Ming killed a three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperor with one punch. He also took the three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperor's third eye and a black bracelet. This bracelet was used by the three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperor to store items. It was similar to a storage ring. Xiong, I'll leave these two to you. Lu Ming left the two three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperors to Xiong in a flash. He took care of the rest. The battlefield was the best place to train. He thought that when Ouyang Moli's cultivation level was higher, he would take him out to train as well. Xiong fought the two three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperors alone. The battle was intense. Not long after, Xiong successfully killed the two three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperors. Lu Ming nodded in satisfaction. Then, he gave Xiangxiang a three-eyed divine tribe member who was at the great mastery of the supreme sage realm. The three-eyed divine tribe boundary emperor immediately gave Xiong fatal pressure. Xiong was in danger. Puff! Xiangxiang Bear's shoulder was hit by the opponent's light of destruction, and a hole appeared. However, Lu Ming had no intention of helping. He had experienced too many life-and-death battles in his life. He knew very well that if one didn't experience life-and-death battles, it would be useless no matter how talented they were. Master, Xiong cried out, her face pale. Solve it yourself. As the son of life, do you want to always rely on others? Lu Ming said with a cold expression. With a punch, he killed a perfected absolute saint who was charging toward him. Xiong clenched her teeth. Her body began to emit a green light. She revolved the life laws and her wounds instantly healed. The life body and life law contained boundless vitality. It was many times stronger than Huang Ling's undying flame law. At the same time, countless vines appeared and swept towards the other party like long whips. But there was no doubt that Xiong was at a disadvantage. Although her talent was strong, it was a pity that she didn't have much combat experience, so she couldn't use her full strength. However, the more she fought, the more Xiong seemed to have found the ability to protect herself. Yes. Lu Ming nodded and then hunted alone in the surrounding area. Xiong had been fighting with her opponent for hundreds of moves. She had been injured many times, but with the help of the law of life, she had quickly recovered. What monster! The three-eyed godly being grew more and more frightened. His opponent couldn't be killed at all, but his injuries were getting worse and worse. After a few hundred moves, Fragrant Fragrance finally exhausted her opponent to the brink of death and killed her opponent. Xiong Xiong was also badly injured, but with the help of the law of life, she was recovering quickly. Master, I did it. Xiong Xiong came to Lu Ming's side. Her eyes were much sharper than before. Yes, not bad. Continue. Lu Ming continued to pass a three-eyed divine tribe member who was at the great perfection of the absolute saint realm to Xiong Xiong. Xiong Xiong was indeed very talented. She improved at a shocking speed in the battle of life and death. Her combat strength, the use of the law of strength, and her battle awareness and mentality were all undergoing huge changes. This time, Xiong Xiong finished off her opponent within 100 moves. Although she was badly injured, she wasn't afraid of being injured. Lu Ming nodded. He continued to kill the three-eyed godly being with Xiong Xiong. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Huang Li were all going through difficult battles. Their opponents were naturally at the level of a quasi-emperor. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Huang Li were all at the peak of the absolute saint realm. They could barely fight against a quasi-emperor, but it would be very difficult. Luo Tianyi's cultivation was higher, so she was better off, but she was also in a difficult battle. Everyone was in a battle of life and death, hoping to break through their limits and achieve a breakthrough. Whoosh! Suddenly, a destructive light pierced toward Lu Ming. This beam of destructive light cut through the void silently. However, Lu Ming had goosebumps all over his body. He could sense a fatal threat. Without hesitation, Lu Ming pointed in that direction. The power of the chaotic calamity finger gathered in his finger and clashed with the destructive light. Boom! Lu Ming felt a terrifying power surge toward him. He couldn't help but take a few steps back. His fingers felt numb. What a strong power! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked forward. In front of him, a 5-meter-tall three-eyed godly being rode a strange beast. He stepped on the air and emitted a terrifying aura. This three-eyed godly being wasn't at the martial emperor realm, but he was definitely powerful. Kid, I've been watching you for a few days. During this time, you've killed many of our people. Today is the day you die. Kill. The burly three-eyed godly being shouted. He waved the battle axe in his hand. The strange beast roared and stepped on the void, charging toward Lu Ming. Roar. That mutated beast roared, spewing out a jet of black light from its mouth, charging toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the three-eyed godly being's battle axe slashed toward Lu Ming. The giant axe seemed to be able to split the sky. Its power was terrifying. Saint weapons floated out of Lu Ming's body. There weren't many, only 37. Back then, when Xiao Chen fought the quasi-emperor in the world of the lotus flower, most of the saint weapons sealed in his acupoints were destroyed. Only 10-odd absolute holy weapons remained. During this time, Lu Ming cultivated the 10,000 weapon art again. This time, he did not seal the bright saint weapons or great sage weapons. Instead, he sealed all the absolute holy weapons. He sealed a total of 36 absolute holy weapons. One of them was an emperor weapon. It was the emperor weapon spear that Xiao Chen obtained from Luo Pokong. Although there were fewer of them than before, their might was several times stronger. Lu Ming held onto the long spear while the other 36 absolute sacred weapons hovered around him. The aura of the combat weapons merged and blocked the attack of the mutated beast. At the same time, Xiao Chen thrust his spear upward and clashed with the other party's battle axe. Dang! Horrifying vibrations erupted. The other party roared and retreated 10-odd steps with the strange beast under him. As for Lu Ming, he also retreated. What strong combat prowess! It is equivalent to a quasi-emperor's sovereign body. This thought flashed in Lu Ming's mind, and a strong fighting spirit flickered in his eyes. This was the strongest quasi-emperor that Lu Ming had encountered so far. Previously, the quasi-emperors that Lu Ming encountered did not put any pressure on him. However, this quasi-emperor was different. It had the strength to threaten Lu Ming's life. Chapter 1994. Kill. Kill. Lu Ming and the three-eyed divine being roared as they fought. Lu Ming used the 10,000 weapon art to gather the aura of the weapons on the spear, making the spear's power extremely shocking. The spear light whistled and pierced the sky as it fought with the three-eyed divine being. The three-eyed divine being's battle axe fell like a storm. At the same time, his third eye would shoot out a destructive light from time to time. Its power was extremely shocking. The mutated beast would also attack Lu Ming. The spear vibrated and immediately, hundreds of spear light pierced toward the three-eyed divine being. At the same time, he pointed with his left hand. Chaotic calamity finger. Swoosh. A terrifying finger force condensed into the shape of a thread and pierced through the air. This finger was not pointed at the three-eyed divine being, but at the mutated beast under him. Poof. That mutated beast's combat strength was equivalent to an ordinary boundary emperor. It could not resist at all and its forehead was pierced. It died on the spot and its corpse fell to the ground. Damn it. The three-eyed divine being roared and his murderous intent became even colder. He attacked Lu Ming like a storm. Lu Ming held the spear in his right hand and dense runes appeared on it. Soon, the runes covered the spear and then the spear pierced out, forming a true dragon that whistled out. Lu Ming was using the spear to display the illusory spirit scroll of the 9 scrolls of Array Path. However, the true dragon was scattered by the opponent's battle axe. This was within Lu Ming's expectations. The spear vibrated again and a destructive force erupted. This was the destruction scroll of the 9 scrolls of Array Path. Lu Ming was using the opponent to hone his 9 scrolls of Array Path so that he could merge the sealing scroll, destruction scroll, and illusory spirit scroll as soon as possible. To be honest, a boundary emperor's monarch body was very powerful and required Lu Ming to go all out. Using the 9 scrolls of Array Path alone, Lu Ming was undoubtedly at a disadvantage and was suppressed by the opponent. However, this was exactly what Lu Ming needed. In the face of adversity, his 9 scrolls of Array Path progressed at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of moves had been exchanged. Yes, that's the feeling. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up as he thrust out his spear. Roar. A true dragon flew out and pounced on the other party. This move again. Break for me. The three-eyed god race roared and swung his giant axe down, splitting the true dragon in half. However, the true dragon immediately exploded, turning into countless runes that covered the axe. Following the axe, it spread to the other party's body, forming a powerful sealing power. That's right, Lu Ming had successfully merged the illusory spirit scroll and the sealing scroll together. This move contained 2 of the 9 scrolls of the formation Dao. Damn it! The three-eyed divine race member roared and erupted with all of his strength. Black light erupted from his entire body. Those symbols dimmed and collapsed one after another. Again, Lu Ming thrust out his spear again. Once again, a true dragon flew out and collided with the opponent's battle axe. This time, an astonishing rumble was heard, and the opponent's battle axe vibrated. This move was a combination of the illusory spirit codex and the destruction codex, and its prowess was enhanced significantly, allowing him to successfully fend off the other party's attack. If I combine the 3 scrolls, it will be even more powerful, Lu Ming thought. At the same time, he kept thrusting out with his spear, but in the end, he still failed. Combining 3 scrolls was much more difficult than combining 2 scrolls. If I can combine the Destruction Codex and the Primal Chaos Calamity Finger, wouldn't the power of the Primal Chaos Calamity Finger increase exponentially? Lu Ming suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and his eyes lit up. The power of the Primal Chaos Calamity Finger was already very strong, but if it was combined with the Destruction Codex, it would definitely be even stronger. However, this involved the fusion of 2 types of laws, which was even more mysterious. Lu Ming tried a few more times, but he did not succeed. However, this was a direction. As long as Lu Ming kept trying, he would eventually succeed. Now, let's finish you off. Killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He kept thrusting out with his spear, using the fusion of the illusory spirit codex and the sealing scroll. At the same time, he used the Primal Chaos Calamity Finger with his left hand, attacking from both sides. Boom, boom, boom. The two exchanged several dozen moves before Lu Ming finally gained the upper hand. The other party's body was covered in a dense layer of talisman scripts, affecting his strength. Pu. Lu Ming pointed, and the primal chaos calamity finger pierced through the other party's body. Half of the other party's body exploded. The other party roared and turned to flee. Lu Ming gave chase. However, the other party was indeed very strong, comparable to Lu Ming. Despite suffering injuries, the other party quickly fled far away. Lu Ming could only give up on the chase. A quasi-emperor-level sovereign body was indeed very strong. Lu Ming could only defeat the other party after bringing out his full power and using two types of laws. However, he still could not kill the other party. Lu Ming turned around and continued hunting the three-eyed divine race with Xiong Xiong. On the other side, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Xiong were engaged in a life-and-death battle with two quasi-emperors. Given the three's combat prowess, fighting two quasi-emperors was very difficult. This was a true life-and-death battle, with their lives in danger at any moment. Huang Ling used her undying flame laws to execute the undying cage. While attacking, she also defended. As for Long Chen, his body swelled up like a giant. Every time he attacked, an elephant's trumpeting sounded. The divine image stepped on the air and attacked the other party. As for Luo Xiong, he was moving around. He held a rusty iron sword in his hand, but it was incomparably sharp. His movements were sometimes fast and sometimes slow, and the speed of his sword was sometimes fast and sometimes slow, making it hard for people to guard against. Even so, under the terrifying attacks of the quasi-emperor, they were still in a perilous situation, facing fatal danger. Die for me. A quasi-emperor suddenly launched himself at Luo Xiong. A terrifying force sealed the space around Luo Xiong, making it difficult for him to move quickly. Then, a berserk attack charged at Luo Xiong. Of the three, Luo Xiong's cultivation was the lowest. The quasi-emperor wanted to kill Luo Xiong first before moving on to the others. Oh no! Huang Ling and Long Chen's expressions changed drastically. They wanted to help but were blocked by the other quasi-emperor. They could not rush over immediately. Die. That quasi-emperor had a ferocious look in his eyes as he attacked Luo Xiong. In the face of a life-and-death crisis, Luo Xiong was very calm. His eyes narrowed slightly, flickering with a terrifying sharpness. In his sea of consciousness, his sword soul vibrated and the iron sword in his hand buzzed. At this moment, he circulated all his strength. Whoosh! A sword light burst out, illuminating the sky. It was extremely stunning. Puff! The attack of that three-eyed divine being was forcefully broken. These brats must die. The three-eyed divine being roared in his heart. These youths were too strong. In the future, when they grew up, they would be a great enemy of their race. He charged at Luo Xiong again. Clang! The iron sword in Luo Xiong's hand vibrated and emitted a resplendent light. At this moment, a powerful aura erupted from his body. He broke through. At the critical moment, Luo Xiong broke through. Chapter 1995. He broke through. Great! Long Chen and Huang Ling were overjoyed. Luo Xiong's battle power increased greatly after his breakthrough. He broke through the enemy's attack and fought with Huang Ling and Long Chen. Luo Xiong's breakthrough increased their battle power. They were finally able to fight with the enemy. No one noticed that a cold gaze swept over Lu Ming and the others from time to time. It was Feng Wuchen. These people will be a huge threat to the Feng tribe sooner or later. We have to get rid of them as soon as possible. Feng Wuchen's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He then transmitted his voice to his subordinates. Then, they attacked some of the three-eyed divine beings. After a few moves, they suddenly changed direction and charged toward Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Xiong. The three-eyed divine beings chased after them. Soon, they were close to Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Xiong's battlefield. Oh no! Huang Ling and the others' expressions changed. Feng Wuchen wanted to kill them with a borrowed knife. He wanted to lure the three-eyed divine beings to them so that they could kill them. You guys came at the right time. These guys are the top prodigies of the human race. They will be a huge threat in the future. We have to get rid of them first. One of the three-eyed divine beings who was fighting with Huang Ling and the others shouted. He wanted the other three-eyed divine beings to kill Huang Ling and the others. Okay, let's kill these people first. The three-eyed divine beings who were chasing Feng Wuchen and the others immediately gave up on them and charged toward Huang Ling and the others. Among Feng Wuchen and the others, only Feng Wuchen was a top prodigy. The others were all old and had limited potential. Compared to killing Feng Wuchen and the others, the three-eyed divine beings were more willing to kill Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Xiong. At least 3 or 4 boundary emperors and more than 10 absolute saints charged toward Huang Ling and the others. The three's expressions changed drastically. They quickly retreated but were held back by the 2 boundary emperors from before. Haha. Feng Wuchen was overjoyed. The process was smoother than he thought. He led the Feng tribe's elites and quickly left. On the other side, Lu Ming also noticed this. Oh no. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. With a wave of his hand, a ray of saint power swept up Xiong Xiong and quickly rushed towards Huang Ling and the others. However, he was still quite a distance away from Huang Ling and the others. It would take some time for him to reach them. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Luo Xiong were besieged by so many quasi-emperors and immediately fell into fatal danger. Puff! Long Chen's body was penetrated by a beam of destructive light. His flesh and blood exploded. The scene was extremely horrifying. Luo Xiong didn't have it easy either. One of his arms was chopped off. Although Huang Ling had the undying flame laws, she blocked even more attacks and suffered heavy injuries. As soon as they exchanged blows, the 3 of them were heavily injured and fell into a crisis. All of you, retreat! Long Chen roared, and his long hair fluttered in the wind. His fists punched out continuously, and the silhouettes of divine elephants appeared one after another. They charged toward the other party in the air. He fought against a few boundary emperors alone so that Huang Ling and Luo Xiong could have a chance to escape. However, he was alone, and his battle prowess was limited in the end. The divine elephant was destroyed, and his body was blasted. Half of his body directly exploded, and he almost died. Die! A 3-eyed boundary emperor's eyes flashed with a ferocious glint. He swung his giant axe at Long Chen's head. If this attack landed, Long Chen would definitely die. Just then, Long Chen, Huang Ling, and Luo Xiong's bodies flickered like phantoms. In the next moment, they appeared 1,000 meters away. The 3-eyed boundary emperor's attack missed. A petite figure appeared beside Huang Ling and the others. It was Bubble's timely intervention that saved them. Kill! The 3-eyed boundary emperor charged toward Bubble. You are the ones who will die. Chirp chirp. Bubble pressed her small hand down, and the void fluctuated. More than a dozen absolute saint-level 3-eyed boundary emperors' bodies were directly torn into pieces by the power of space. Even the few boundary emperors retreated frantically, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Space-time laws. No, retreat. A 3-eyed boundary emperor's expression changed drastically, and he wanted to retreat. However, a few transparent bubbles appeared and enveloped them. Die! A cold voice rang out from the sky. Following that, a spear ray pierced through the top of their heads. A total of 7 boundary emperors were killed in an instant. Lu Ming's figure descended. With a wave of his hand, he kept the 3-eyed boundary emperor's corpse. Then, he stepped out and appeared beside Huang Ling and the others. Heal your wounds first, Lu Ming said. Long Chen, Luo Xiong, and Huang Ling were severely injured, especially Long Chen and Luo Xiong. Their bodies were about to explode. However, with the strength of their spiritual bodies, it was not difficult for them to regrow their limbs. The 3 of them sat cross-legged in the air and began to heal their wounds. Lu Ming and Bubble stood guard around them. Any 3-eyed boundary emperor that attacked them were mercilessly killed by them. Long Chen and Luo Xiong's bodies began to heal and recover. A few hours later, their external injuries had healed. However, it would take them a few days to recover to their peak condition. Dong dong dong. At this moment, the war drums sounded, and the three-eyed boundary emperor began to retreat. Feng Wuchen. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Then, he stepped toward the direction of the base. Luo Tianyi, Huang Ling, and the others looked at each other and followed Lu Ming. Soon, they returned to the base. Lu Ming did not stop. He went straight up and finally arrived in front of a majestic palace. This palace was the Wind Clan's encampment. Lu Ming walked toward the door of the palace. Stop, this is the base of the Feng tribe. Other than the members of the Feng tribe, only those who are invited can enter. Are you invited? In front of the door, two burly men blocked Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted. The two burly men's bodies shook violently. They were sent flying and vomited blood. You, how dare you? One of them pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. Bam! Lu Ming suddenly took a step forward. A terrifying force surged out and bombarded the door of the Feng tribe's palace. Boom! The door exploded into pieces and flew everywhere. The two burly men guarding the door were stunned. Someone dared to smash the door of the Feng tribe's palace. This was a slap to the Feng tribe's face. The commotion here also alarmed the other forces. Figures flew out from the palaces and looked in their direction. It's Lu Ming. He's so bold to smash the door of the Feng tribe. What happened? Why did Lu Ming do this? I heard that Lu Ming and Feng Wuchen have a grudge. There was a lot of discussion. Who is it? You're courting death. Angry roars could be heard from the Feng clan's palace. Many figures dashed out and looked at Lu Ming and the rest with gazes as cold as knives. Where's Feng Wuchen? Ask him to come out and die. Lu Ming shouted, ignoring the Feng tribe's experts. You're Lu Ming. A Feng tribe expert recognized Lu Ming and narrowed his eyes. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.